In this class, we will learn a little bit more on objects. As we know, we can create objects in JavaScript like this, var student is equal to, inside the curly braces, we can type role as 1, comma, name as Regin. Okay, so we know this is an object. We can add also functions to these objects. We can add functions to these objects like this. We can add some function like greet, and we can say that this is a function. And inside the function, we can type a console.log welcome. So we have two values and one function inside this object. So objects can also have functions. So let me call this function. To call that function, we can use dot operator, student dot greet. Let's see what happens now. I've opened up this page. I'll refresh. Okay, you can see a welcome got printed here. So that means this function got executed. So this is an object containing this is a value and this is another value and this is a function within that object. Now we will try out some of the most common types of objects which are available with JavaScript. So these are, one is math object, then we will discuss string object, and also we will discuss date object. Okay, let's get into details of each of these. First we will discuss math object. Okay, so I will use math. So math is an inbuilt object in JavaScript. Let me type ABS. ABS stands for absolute value, -5. Okay, you can see the result below. It is shown as 5. Okay, I will zoom a little bit more. Okay. So it has shown us 5. Math.abs of -5. So math is an object, and inside that object a function is predefined which is absolute value. So that is ABS. If we give a negative value, it will display a positive value. So that is absolute. Okay, that is one example. We'll see another one example like math.round of 5.25. 5.23 is rounded as 5 because the lowest value it got float value is returned. Okay, let us try it as 83. So it will give a resultant value as 6 because it's closer to 6. In the case 5.23, it was closer to 5, and since it was 5.83, it was closer to 6. Okay, let me type another one function here like floor. You can see the value got floor value, and there will also seal value, seal. So it will be sealed to that value 6. So those are some examples of functions in the case of math object. We can also use cos or something like that. Okay, so cos of 0 is 1. So math.cos is there, math.abs is there, math.seal. There are different functions are available. Okay, and there are some constants too. We will see an example, math.pi. So pi is a built-in constant in the case of math object. So its value is 3.14, that pi's value. Okay, so I believe you got a clear-cut idea about this math object. So math is our first object. We have discussed the different functions related to this math object. Now we will discuss string object. This is one of the important object. Okay, let's first I will refresh this page. I will create a variable like var name is equal to something, I will type region. Okay, then we can have different functions for this string object. So here this name becomes a string object because we have assigned a string value to it. As we discussed in the previous lesson, JavaScript is dynamically typed. So when we assign a string value, this variable becomes string of type string. Okay, now we can apply different functions related to this string object. So first one object is this. We can find caret. Okay, name dot char at. Caret stands for character at. I will type 2. So you can see that character at position 2 is j. That is 0, 1, 2. So that was char at. So that is one statement. And we can use concatenation. Let's try out concatenation. So for that we can use the function concat. I will type a space and I will type r. So that is concatenation. We can concatenate strings together. So that is concatenation. And you can also try replace is there. Replace. So replace. Inside this I can type e or e2 or j2. I will type it as, I will type G. Okay, now you can see that J got replaced by this G. So that is replace. So there are several string functions are there, and you can also use something like this split of I will give something like space, blank space. Okay, I will make a change. Var name is equal to region r. Okay. So now our string contain value region r. Okay. Now I will type name dot split of. Inside that I will give a space. So you can see that this string got split into two strings that based on a white space. So I have given a white space. So this first portion is region. So an array is created. Inside this, the first portion is the first part, the left side of that white space, and at the right side there is r. Okay. So that is split. So there are several functions related to this string object. You can search for these functions, or you can refer the textbook in which those different functions are explained. So these are some of the major important functions in the case of string object. Now we will see date object. So we have discussed so far math object and string object. Now we will discuss date object. This date object. Okay. So let's check. I will refresh this page. So, and I will type something like this: var today is equal to new date. We are creating an object of this date function. So a date object is created and which is named as today. So let's see today dot. You can see that when I type today, that entire date got displayed here. So that is today. Today dot. If I type day, you can see today dot. Sorry, today dot day. Okay, sorry, not just day. Get day. Get day. Let's see what happens. You can see 0. 0 is written because it's Sunday. So that's that 0. Today dot. I will type something like this. Get date. Get date. You can see 28. So 28 is current date. So that is date object. So there are several functions related to this date object also. So we have discussed date objects: get date, get day, get hours, get milliseconds. Okay, get hours. Let us try get hours. Today dot get hours. Okay, So that is 22 hours. So these are different objects in the case of JavaScript. So we have discussed objects and corresponding methods. So we have discussed math object, string object and date object. So that is the end of the session. We will meet in the next video. Thank you.